Hi, I'm Lisa, the artist behind Lachri Fine Art. In today's vlog, I am going to talk about something that I am asked all the time. Is it okay to trace? And I've talked about this before, so some of you guys already know my personal opinion on the matter. But to me, yes, it's okay. And it's okay for a few reasons. This is one of those hot topics where you have artists who are totally against it and then artists who are like, yeah, I don't see the problem with it. I'm on the I don't see the problem with it thing. The artists who are against it claim that you don't strengthen your drawing skills, that all kinds of stuff. You can tell that it was traced. I've heard all kinds of reasons why these artists will say you don't ever want to trace. It's a bad thing to get into, like it's this horrible drug habit. The thing is, most of the people who have that attitude have so little experience in using these practices that they really don't understand what tracing can and can't do for you. There are serious limitations in using tracing, and they don't get that. A lot of people think if you traced your initial outline that all the work was done for you. Like you're not doing the hard part. When you get into photorealism, the definitions, if you go online and look up definitions for that, most of the definitions will include the use of some sort of lightbox projector, one of these tools to get your initial photograph image onto your canvas or paper. And you'd be shocked to find how many artists really do use these tools. Most don't run around telling everybody. It is a very common practice. I don't see a problem with it, and this is why. I've been teaching for 15 years now. And so I've got a lot of experience with having students use these techniques in improving their drawing skills. So starting with what it cannot do for you. It doesn't do the work for you. You're just getting your initial outline. If a student, or if an artist in general, if you cannot draw and you trace your initial outline, it doesn't matter how good your tracing is, your end result is not going to be very good if you don't have the drawing skills. Now, that said, if you don't have the drawing skills, tracing things over and over again is going to improve your drawing skills quite a bit and a lot faster than just freehanding. I recommend students do both. Practice freehanding things and practice tracing things. I can't tell you how many times I've had a drawing drawn out perfectly for a beginner student and had them go over with graphite and it was just destroyed. And it's not that that's a bad thing. You know, it's part of the learning process. I'm not bashing them for that. But the point is, you're not just going to have something drawn perfectly and have someone who can't draw make some masterpiece out of it. The thing is, in tracing things, you're forcing yourself to see things accurately. So often we have a preconceived idea of what things look like. Like a tree looks a certain way, a hand looks a certain way. This is how I draw eyes every time. This is how a nose looks. And usually those are not the case. We're usually pretty far off when we get started on what we think things look like and what they actually look like. Mostly because we're missing the details. So in tracing it over and over again, I can give a student a drawing and say, here, trace this rose 10 times. By the 11th time, they should have improved significantly on drawing that rose because they saw all the details and how the petals folded and all of that. So they now should be able to freehand it and be pretty accurate. I can give that same student that rose to begin with and say freehand this 10 times. By the 11th time, they may have improved, but more likely than not, they're just making the same mistakes over and over again. You would have had to have freehanded it so many more times to get to where you were really accurate and really good with it versus had you traced it 10 times and then went back and freehanded it. And just to be clear, tracing is not like your end goal. Your goal is not to just get really good at tracing. Your goal is to improve your freehanding skills because you have to improve your drawing skills all around. If you can't draw, like I said, it does not matter what you trace, your work is going to reflect that. You have to be able to draw. You need to improve those drawing skills. It's just that tracing is a good way to improve them very quickly. So I always tell people who are starting off and learning to draw, practice both. Practice freehand and practice tracing. And to practice freehanding and tracing the same thing over and over again. It just, again, it's training your eye, training you to see things that you wouldn't have otherwise noticed. And that is pretty much what's going to separate someone who's drawing well from someone who's not. It's a matter of what you're able to notice when you look at something. Moving further into this topic, is it okay for professional artists to trace? The majority do. And I don't really see why this is a problem. Because somebody who's tracing, if they couldn't freehand that, it's going to reflect in their work. I've seen people who do these photorealistic drawings and they're absolutely stunning. But the thing is, if they couldn't have freehanded it on their own, then it wouldn't have ended up looking the way it did once they got all of their shading involved. Because when you draw out those lines, it's not doing all the work. You still have to shade. You still have to be able to notice how that shadow curves, just everything. You've got to be able to notice those details. So if your drawing skills are weak, it does not matter how good your tracing is. Your end product is not going to be very good. So
So why bother tracing? It saves so much time. It's just a tool like anything else. I might use a ruler to make a straight line. I might trace my outline, and I don't trace everything. And this, for me, it's kind of amusing because I won't tell people what I did and didn't trace, mostly because it entertains me that no one can ever guess accurately what is traced and what isn't. You can't tell because I can draw. My drawing skills are just as strong that way as they are tracing. It's just a matter of one saves a lot of time and if I'm in the mood to draw or not is pretty much what it boils down to. There's an artist named Noah who I was talking to once, and somebody had asked him, and this guy is absolutely amazing. This was probably, I'd say 14 years ago or so that I had talked to him. Somebody had asked him his opinion on using a projector or if he traces. His response to that was, yeah, if I'm gonna charge somebody $5,000 to paint their kid, it better look like their kid. The funny thing with that is, honestly, this guy can freehand it. That's not a problem. I just thought that was kind of a funny comment. But like looking at his work back then, I was not very strong with my portraits. And if you would have given me and this guy the same perfectly traced outline, his would have just blown mine out of the water. Like mine wouldn't even be in the same room as his. It was just, his were so good. So it didn't matter that they were traced. It comes down to you have to be able to draw. You've got to be able to freehand in order to end up with the best possible end result. I guess that means I'm kind of in the middle of that whole debate because yes, I think it is totally okay to trace. I see the benefit in doing that as far as strengthening your drawing skills and saving time, and there's a lot of benefits in doing it. But I also think it is extremely important. You have got to be able to freehand. You really do have to be able to do both well in order to get your end result with the tracing to come out well. The way that I look at it with art in general, a lot of people come up with these different rules. You have to stretch your own canvas, or you're not doing all, it's not really an original. I've heard some really odd things where people get this sort of elitist attitude about you should make your own paper, you should stretch your own canvas, you have to freehand everything yourself, you shouldn't ever use black paint. Like all of these really silly rules, and they're ridiculous to me. To me, all that matters is that you're creating. You are creating something that didn't exist. I don't care what steps you took to get to that end result. The fact is you created something that wasn't there before. Something that is going to make somebody happy. Something that made you happy while painting it. So really, who cares how you got there? When you get to the level where you're doing photorealism, yeah, you need those drawing skills. But if you're just doing it to have fun and to paint and make a pretty picture, then who cares? Just have fun with it. Use whatever tools are available to you that make it easier and make it more enjoyable for you. And in the end, tracing really is going to improve your drawing anyway, so it's kind of a win-win there. So hopefully that gives you a little something to think about on whether or not you think it's okay to trace. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts on the subject are. I have new video critiques every Tuesday where I'm critiquing your original paintings and drawings. I have my own speed paintings, drawings, and tutorials every Wednesday, and vlogs most weekends. So make sure you subscribe and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, all those fun social media sites to keep up with news and my newest work. Oh, one more thing. I've been getting a lot of requests from people who want to see real-time video of me painting or drawing. My computer cannot handle that. Eventually I'll upgrade, maybe that's something I'll look into. But for now, not gonna happen. But I have found it's kind of fun to record real-time videos on my phone, my cell phone, and I've just been uploading some of those to my Facebook page and to Instagram. So if you do wanna see a few little, just a couple of minutes real-time of me working on whatever, definitely check out those pages. I'll see you guys in a few days.